It is time to take my first steps down into the deep, dark rabbit hole of Leica cameras and join the ranks of internet circle jerkers and camera snobs. Oh well, it's a canon event for every film photographer. It starts off as curiosity, then aspiration, then sooner rather than later, you find yourself spending hundreds of dollars on lens caps for the camera that you just spent your life savings on. Why exactly are Leica cameras so sought after? It's a good question, especially because every 35mm camera technically shoots the same 35mm frame. As many people put it, it's a combination of brand name, build quality, as well as just the experience of photography that Leica cameras do differently. Any car can get you from point A to point B, but you'll probably enjoy the experience of driving a Porsche more so than a Toyota, for instance. And the same logic applies here. The aesthetic appeal of the camera itself, the tactile feeling of the film advance, as well as the silent cloth shutter. However, there is one real standout feature that Leica has which the competition doesn't, and that is the rangefinder. Normal SLR style cameras have a mirror inside the body so that you can see through the lens and compose your frame. The mirror flips away when you take the actual picture, and it adds quite some bulk to the camera. For Leica rangefinder cameras, there's no mirror. Behind the lens, it's just the shutter and the film. So the camera itself is smaller, and the shorter distance between the lens and the film also enables more compact lens designs, making the overall package that much more portable. To see what we're shooting, we use the camera's rangefinder, which is basically a smart dynamic window with frame lines to show you your frame. These frame lines automatically adjust based on your focal length and focus distance to compensate for the parallax error of not actually seeing through your main lens. How about focusing? Well, there is a secondary window on the front of the camera that projects a second hologram over what you see in the rangefinder. These two images will be separate when you're out of focus, and they converge when you're in focus. This was an innovation back in the 1950s, and the M3 was Leica's debut into the rangefinder market. It's the first in a long line of M-series cameras that spans till this day. The camera itself is legendary and is still being used by enthusiasts everywhere. So today we have the M3 in our hands, which a friend of mine very kindly lent me because he got a Leica M6 and this one has become the neglected child. As mentioned, the M3 is Leica's first M-mount rangefinder camera. It's made in the 1950s, but you really couldn't tell because it still looks so damn good. It's honestly quite amazing, like what other object made in the 1950s still looks so good and is still being used to this day. And because Leica, as well as other brands, still make M-mount lenses, we can still continue to use modern glass on this camera, which is another standout perk of this ecosystem. The camera we have here is the single stroke variant, which means you advance the handle only once after each shot. The older M3s are double stroke, which means that you cock twice after each picture, for those of you guys who enjoy stroking it, I guess. With the camera, we have a Voigtlander 50mm f1.2 lens, a third-party lens because we're broke. And in the hot shoe, we have a reflex lap meter because the M3 is meterless, and the silver finishes actually match quite naturally. I think it's quite nice. And yeah, that's the setup. I'll talk you guys through it more, but let's take it out for a spin first, shall we? We're out here at National Gallery Singapore with a roll of Portra 800. It's good times. Loading an M3 is a little tedious. As with other Leicas, the bottom plate comes out and the back door flips open for you to put the film in from the bottom, just the way I like it. But for this camera, there's a spool which you need to stuff the tip in. So you do that until the arrow is so-called lit up, then the whole package goes into the bottom of the camera. This is my first time using a rangefinder because I've always been an SLR boy, and one gripe I have is that the viewing window is simply too small. As someone with glasses, I struggle to see the entire rangefinder, and having to press the camera against my glasses is not fun. Some other downsides include parallax error, especially at close focus distances. And also, since the rangefinder is separate from the lens, You could shoot an entire roll with the lens cap still on and you wouldn't know. But I personally loved the experience of using the rangefinder. Besides the overall smaller size of the camera, focusing using the rangefinder is genuinely so much faster than using a split prism. It's pretty accurate. As you can see, the shots are pretty much all in focus. Another niche advantage of rangefinders is that you can see outside of your frame. This gives you more situational awareness, which is especially important for street photography, where you need to check if like a car or person is about to enter your frame. I also loved that the M3's cloth shutter was just so silent and satisfying. I could barely hear it even in a place as quiet as this museum, and the film advance was delightfully smooth too. Might just be the placebo effect of using a Leica, but it was genuinely enjoyable. These images are really sharp and crisp as well. Not a surprise because we're using modern optics. I also love the design of Leica rangefinders in general. While I feel the M6 is as clean as it gets, the M3's all-metal build is no slouch either. The entire body just feels so bare bones in the best and most satisfying way. Everything you see is essential. The shutter speed dial, the rangefinder windows, shutter button and film advance, and the Leica text on top. Other than that, it's just a rectangle that dispenses light, which all cameras technically are, just precision dispensers of light. But I feel that essence the most when I look at a Leica rangefinder. Next up, I'd be catching an air show and fireworks downtown as part of Singapore's National Day celebrations. We set up shop outside Art Science Museum in front of this lily pad pond and camped out for the show. Enjoy the sound of freedom filling the air. Oh wait, wrong anthem. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to get crazy pictures like what I can get on a digital system with a super telephoto lens, so I'm just going to lean into the strengths of this film system and get the images I can best make with it, i.e. wider frames that show more context. I tried to shoot the M3 as fast as I could every time the planes flew overhead, and I think these are pretty cool. This is film, we're not getting 20 FPS burst shooting, so I had to time my shots right. And I think I did. The planes fit nicely into these compositions, and the max shutter speed of 1/1000th of a second was enough to freeze action. We can clearly see the underbellies of these jets. There's a surprising amount of detail here. Good job to me for metering properly as well. As night fell, we got ready to shoot some fireworks with a tripod and shutter release cable. I first got some 50mm shots and later on switched lenses, equipping my friend's 28mm Elmarit. Now, the Leica M3 has the tightest rangefinder of the entire Leica M mount lineup, so you can't actually see a full 28mm frame through the rangefinder. You could still shoot the image with no problem, but 50mm is the widest you can see through the rangefinder. There's also frame lines for 90 and 135mm, but if you wanted to shoot wider, you had to buy lenses that came with these goggles, which also widened the field of view of the rangefinder. Subsequent Leicas have much wider rangefinders that also accommodate wider focal lengths like 28 and 35mm, but here I just roughly estimated the framing, and I think it turned out okay, aside from the fact that the fireworks were chopped off, but oh well. In my efforts to be as pretentious and performative as possible, I decided to head back to the Art Science Museum and this time have a look inside the galleries to shoot more frames with the M3. I'd be visiting Iris van Herpen's exhibition, which is about her fashion design work. Very cool stuff indeed. Some more things to note about the rangefinder experience. It's quite hard to use in the dark. Having something contrasty makes it much easier. But overall, all these were taken at f1.2 and for the most part there's no problems, so what can I say? The Portrait 800 was expended and it was time to unload the camera. What can I say, even unloading the camera was experiential. You have this really solid feeling rewind knob, and you just keep twisting until all of the film is back in the canister. The twisting genuinely feels so satisfying versus the flimsier plastic canted rewind knob on later Leicas such as the M6. I'm just getting started here though, so in goes a roll of gold 200. And having such a silent shutter was so good, especially since these galleries were so quiet. The thunderclap on my Nikon F2, or worse my Hasselblad 500cm, would have definitely gotten me kicked out. Overall, these pictures are great, I'm really happy with them. This one in particular is bitingly sharp, just really nice to look at. And I quite like this shot, but it's out of focus, so just squint your eyes a little and we can just pretend that I didn't screw up. Some shots from around the museum. And some shots from the outside as well. Okay, so I guess with this video, my Leica cherry is officially popped. While I definitely won't be buying one in the near future because I'm broke, I definitely want one when I can comfortably afford one. Rangefinders are delightful, and honestly, they're just timeless investments that can go on to become your heirloom. Like at this point, any Leica you get your hands on is only going to appreciate in value. The smaller, bare-bones form factor helps to distill the photographic experience, making it less cumbersome and more fun. Having a rangefinder is also more efficient, in my opinion, for the things I shoot. SLRs can be better when you're shooting close-up or things like portraits. But other than those rather niche use cases, I think I'd rather have a rangefinder most of the time. But Leica's main selling point is the experience, isn't it? And I did enjoy my time with it. Honestly, if the internet didn't exist and I didn't have this preconceived notion of Leica superiority, would I have thought so highly of the M3? I have no idea. But it's a nice camera for sure, and a coveted one at that, and that's the truth. For now, my free trial of Leica has ended, which is quite a shame. Those two rolls were fun to shoot, and I'm glad I have a nice spread of images to show for my efforts. Hopefully, I'll get to use another Leica soon, but till then, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed.